No, there's been some discussion in this case about the weapon that was ultimately used and, you know, the conflict of whether this is homicide or suicide.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the weapon that was identified as the homicide weapon in front of you?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And what's the number on, what the state's exhibit number on it? Not the police number, my number.
Sorry. 276, exhibit number 276.
Okay, and what kind of weapon is state's exhibit 276?
It's a Sig Sauer 9mm handgun.
Okay. And in the course of this case, have you put some thought into whether it would be possible to use that weapon to self-inflict a shot on the left side of her head where Miss Hildabrand was shot?
I put a lot of thought into it, and it's...
Objection.
Yes, ma'am, I put a lot of thought into it, and I made my own determination, I guess, if you will.
Can you tell the jury what your opinion about that is? Objection.
My opinion is that someone shot her, and it's not impossible to shoot yourself in that manner, at that distance, at that angle. It's not impossible, because lots of stuff's possible. It's not very probable, though. It never happens. I've been to...
Objection.
Overruled.
I've been to hundreds of suicides. Every suicide I've ever been to that involved a handgun was a contact wound. Every one. Not one time have I ever been to what we determined was a suicide that it wasn't a contact wound, meaning the gun was pressed against the person's, not necessarily skin, but their hat or their hoodie or their body. It was pressed against them. That's every single one.
Is there usually blood on the weapon when that happens?
Every single suicide that I've ever been to, in my experience, 28 years on the force, every one, there's always blood. I can't say always, but probably 99% there is blood on the weapon in the barrel, because when it's a contact wound, the blood actually comes back into the barrel after the gas is expanded, then pushes blood into the barrel normally.
I'm going to approach that with what I marked for identification as State's Exhibit 352. What is State's Exhibit 352?
It's a dummy gun, or we just call it just like it shows. It's an orange gun. We use it for training at the Anchorage Police Department. So we're not pointing live weapons at one another, even if part of our training is even if the weapon is unloaded, you don't point it at anybody, but we feel safe pointing this at us because it's just a piece of plastic.
Okay. And when you look and examine the weapon in this case, the Sig Sauer, is it roughly the same dimensions?
Looks like it's about a 1/4 inch longer, so the barrel length on so this is a mock-up of a Glock 17, which is a 9mm Glock handgun. This is a 9mm Sig Sauer P328, if I remember right. So the barrel length on this one, I think, was almost 4 inches. This is just over 4 inches. That's about a 1/4 inch.
For the record, it's not clear when you're just speaking which barrel length you're talking about.
I'm sorry. So on this Glock, this mock-up of the Glock handgun is just over 4 inches. The actual Sig Sauer 328, P328 is just under 4 inches. So this mock-up, the orange gun, is just a hair longer, not much.
Okay. And when you say it is improbable for the wound on Saria to be self-inflicted, can you show the jury what you mean with that mock-up that is 352?
Yes. So this, if anybody's uncomfortable, it is a piece of plastic. So normally you hold a handgun like this, normally at 6 inches, and there is a tape measure that I think you'll have access to, but at 6 inches or even longer, 6 inches to me, for one thing, that's uncomfortable and hurts my wrist, and I'm not a flexible female. Granted that, she might have been more flexible than me, but 6 inches is about the length of my hand is there. And that's just that's uncomfortable, and that's just barely skimming that almost, like I wouldn't feel comfortable shooting myself there because I'm afraid I'm not going to miss, unfortunately.
Is it painful on your wrist?
It's painful on my wrist doing this. It's actually painful. It's not impossible to shoot yourself in that angle, because if you notice the pictures I've looked at 100 times, it's an angle back this way, back towards your ear that comes out about. It doesn't come out, but the ME showed that it was back here, that it was would have been the exit wound if it would have exited. So it's at an angle like this almost at it, and getting to that angle with this gun at 6 inches is very, not impossible, but it's not comfortable, and it's just not something I've ever seen, shooting yourself at 6 inches. And actually with your left hand on this left hand side of your body, it's actually more uncomfortable. This actually hurts my wrist more because I can't, it's harder to get at that angle, unfortunately. And you could do it like this, but again, in my experience and training, I know that this was not a contact wound, and I think that's been described plenty by the people who are experts at it. But in my training experience, I agree this is not a contact wound because of the stippling.
And just so folks can compare the two and feel them themselves, I would move at this point, Judge, to publish by passing around 276 and 352.
And there is so if I can just hold it up, there is a lock on it. I have the key in my pocket, so you can't access it very easily. So there's a gun lock on it. This gun lock I just put this on there the day before the trial started, so just to kind of ignore that as far as evidence goes, because that was added later just for court security.
Okay. And the weight of this gun, what does that feel like?
This is a little lighter.
Okay.
Granted, especially with that one had bullets in it, but this one's definitely lighter. The orange one is definitely lighter.
May I, Judge?
Yes.
And the 276 will not go back with the jury, but I would move.
No, typically the guns do not. If you want to look at, 276 being the gun, you're giving an opportunity to look at it here, but typically if you wanted to take a look at that during your deliberations, you would be brought back in here. The gun would be sitting on a table and you could pass by and look at it.
And I would move for 352 to go back with the caveat that of the dimension difference. So I move for the admission of 352. May we approach?
Yes. All right, it's admitted. Ms. Dunlop, could you flip the gun, please?
Those are all my questions, Judge.